The metal hallway was quiet, cold, and full of shadows. Mark, a human scavenger, walked slowly through the ruined alien station. His boots made soft clicks on the cracked floor as steam rose from broken pipes. He was looking for scrap old tech he could sell. He had no idea anyone was still alive here, but then he heard a sound, a small whisper, almost like wind. He stopped, turned his head, and listened. Then he heard it again, clearer this time. Human. Can you fix my toy? Mark turned quickly, pointing his light toward the sound. Behind a broken food machine, he saw her, a small alien girl. No older than 6, her skin was light green. Her eyes big and glowing with fear. She was holding out a strange metal toy. Broken and sparking, her voice trembled. Mom dropped it. When she collapsed, Mark froze, confused and alert. What's your name? He asked softly. The girl hugged the toy close. Luma, she whispered. He stepped forward slowly, crouching down to her level. I'm Mark. I'm here to help. Where's your mom now? Luma pointed down a dark hallway. She fell. They came. I hid, she said, her voice breaking. Mark's chest tightened. She had been alone, hiding, for who knew how long. The toy in her hands sparked again. It looked like a mix between a bird and a robot. Its wings were bent, and one eye was broken. Can I take a look? Mark asked, holding out his hand. Luma nodded and gave it to him carefully. He pulled out a small toolkit from his bag. His fingers moved fast. He knew how to fix things. But while he worked, he kept one eye on the hallway. Something didn't feel right. The air was heavy, the lights flickering. And then he saw the bruises on Luma's arms. Not from falling, these were grab marks. Luma, who hurt you? He asked gently. She looked away. They came in black suits, with red eyes. I ran. Mark's stomach turned cold. Harvesters. He had heard of them, machines that took energy from living beings. They wanted Mommy's light, Luma said quietly. Mark fixed the toy's wing and pressed a button. It made a soft buzzing sound and blinked once. The little girl's face lit up. And she hugged it tightly. Thank you, she said, smiling for the first time then. The walls around them trembled. A heavy sound echoed above, metal against metal. Mark stood up quickly, grabbing his light. Stay close to me, he said, his voice tense. Something was crawling in the ceiling ducts, not rats. Something big. Luma's toy beeped. Mark looked at it. Its screen showed a red triangle flashing. Danger? He guessed. Luma nodded slowly. They're coming back. The ceiling above groaned. And dust fell down. Mark picked her up in his arms. We're getting out of here, he said, and ran toward the hallway. Behind them, a loud crash shook the station. Something with claws dropped into the room. Its red eyes glowing, it sniffed the air. Hunting. Mark didn't stop. He held Luma tight and whispered, I got you. I won't let them take you. And as the shadows chased them, the little girl's toy blinked again, leading them forward. Toward something deeper, something Mark wasn't ready for. But he had made a choice now. This wasn't just about scrap, it was about saving a child with a broken toy. And a secret that could change everything. Mark ran through the dark hallway, holding the little alien girl close. His heart pounded as the floor vibrated behind them. The creature was following, its sharp claws scratching metal. He turned a corner fast and slipped into a broken supply room. He placed Luma gently on the floor and closed the door quietly. The room was small, full of empty shelves and torn boxes. Both of them were breathing hard. Luma hugged her toy tightly, hiding her face in it. Mark sat beside her and whispered, It's okay. For now. He checked the door lock. It was weak but might hold for a few minutes. Then he turned to the girl, his voice softer. What's your name again? She looked up at him with wide glowing eyes. Luma, she said. Mark nodded. That's a beautiful name. I'm Mark. She didn't smile this time, just stared at her toy. Mom said, if I got lost, I should follow the light, she whispered. Mark raised an eyebrow. What light? Luma showed him the bottom of her toy. A small symbol was glowing. It was an ancient tech symbol, a locator mark used by old galactic stations. Mark's hand shook slightly. Your mother. What was her job here? He asked carefully. Luma blinked slowly. She was a navigator. She helps the stars talk. Mark didn't understand, but it sounded important. He knew navigators were rare. They were like living computers who could guide starships and manage systems with their minds. That meant her mother wasn't just a worker, she was part of the station itself. The walls hummed softly as if responding to Luma's words. Then, from the back of the room, a faint green light appeared. A panel slid open behind the shelf, something the station had hidden. Luma's toy beeped again and pointed toward the light. Mark stood up slowly. That was not just random, Luma nodded. She said the station listens to me when I'm scared. Mark helped Luma crawl through the hidden opening. It led to a narrow tunnel. Old and dusty, but untouched by time. The air was cooler here, and Mark could hear water dripping somewhere ahead. Luma's steps were quiet, but she didn't hesitate. It felt like she had walked this way before, even if she didn't remember. At the end of the tunnel, the space opened into a strange chamber. Soft lights flickered to life as they stepped in. The floor was made of glowing tiles, and strange symbols floated in the air like holograms. In the center was a large chair, almost like a throne surrounded by silent machines. Luma walked toward it slowly, touching the machines gently. This was Mommy's room, she whispered. She talked to the stars from here. Mark looked around, feeling small in this place. He realized he wasn't just helping a lost child. He had stepped into a forgotten command center. Luma sat on the edge of the chair, her toy resting on her lap. She collapsed after talking to the core. Then the bad ones came, she said. Mark frowned. The core? The energy heart of the station? Luma nodded. She told it to hide me and shut everything down. Mark suddenly understood the whole station had gone silent because her mother made it happen. To protect Luma, he walked to a screen and tried to power it. The screen flickered and showed a message. Navigator health, critical. Location, lower life support level. Mark's eyes widened. She's still alive. Luma's lips trembled. But not for long. Mark looked at the girl and placed a hand on her shoulder. Then we'll go to her. Together, the door behind them suddenly shook. The creature had found them again. But this time, the light in Luma's toy changed color, and Mark saw something new in her eyes. She wasn't just a lost girl anymore. She was the key to waking up something ancient. The heavy door behind them shook again. Dust fell from the ceiling as something banged hard on the other side. Mark quickly pulled Luma behind one of the large machines. He raised his tool blaster, ready to fight if needed. Luma held her toy close, whispering to it like it could hear her. Then suddenly, the door stopped shaking. Silence. No more banging. No more scratching. Just a strange humming sound. Low and steady. Mark waited for a moment, holding his breath. Then something unexpected happened. The wall on the far side of the chamber began to glow. Lines of light formed a circle, pulsing gently and with a soft hiss. It opened, a hidden passageway revealed by the light. Mark stood up, eyes wide. That wasn't me, he muttered. Luma stepped forward slowly. It heard me, she said quietly. Her toy beeped once, then went silent again. The passage ahead was narrow but clean, no dust, no cracks, no signs of age. It felt like it had been waiting. Where does it go? Mark asked. Luma whispered. To her. To Mommy. Mark didn't ask how she knew. He just believed her. They entered the passage, the walls glowing softly as they walked. The air felt warmer, almost alive as they moved deeper. Small floating lights appeared beside them. They lit the path ahead like fireflies. Mark felt his heart beat faster, not from fear, but from something else, Hope. After a few minutes, the path ended in front of a sealed glass door. Inside was a small chamber filled with soft blue light. In the center floated a woman unconscious, glowing faintly. Long silver threads of light ran from her body into the walls around her. She looked peaceful, but weak. Luma gasped, "Mommy," and ran to the glass. Mark stepped closer and looked at the woman. Her face was older than Luma's, but they shared the same eyes, gentle, bright, sad. A screen beside the door lit up with strange alien symbols. Mark tapped the panel, trying to understand. Suddenly, the text changed to English. Life signs, critical, energy link broken. Navigator shut down in 3 hours. Mark's heart dropped. "She's dying," he said quietly. Luma didn't cry. She just placed her toy against the glass. The toy lit up again, brighter than ever. Lines of code appeared on the screen beside it. The chamber started humming. The machines beside the navigator pulsed with new light. Mark stared in disbelief. Luma's toy was not just a toy. It was connected to the navigator's system. Maybe it was part of the system, a key, or a piece of her mother's mind. "Can you open the door?" Mark asked. Luma nodded, eyes glowing softly. "I think I can talk to the station now." She placed her hand on the wall beside the glass. The symbols shifted again. Access granted. Core child recognized. Mark stepped back as the glass door opened slowly. Warm light spilled into the hallway, and soft music began to play. Old songs, recorded from Luma's childhood. Mark watched as Luma walked to her mother and gently held her hand. "Please wake up." "I'm here," she whispered. For a moment, nothing happened. Then her mother's fingers twitched. Mark blinked. "She's alive." But before he could move, a sharp sound echoed behind them. Metal footsteps. A red glow. The harvester had found them. Mark raised his blaster, but this time Luma stood tall beside him. The toy in her hand spun on its own and whispered, "Protocol Prime, awakening the beacon." Asterisk. The red glow in the hallway grew brighter. Mark pulled Luma behind him and raised his blaster. The harvester stepped into the chamber slowly. Its metal feet made sharp clicks on the glass floor. Half of its face was a mask of metal. The other half looked disturbingly alive, a twisted mix of flesh and machine. Luma's toy floated from her hand. Rising into the air, it spun slowly. Glowing brighter than before, the harvester tilted its head. Scanning the room, its cold voice hissed, "Beacon child detected." Mark fired first 3 shots, fast and strong, but the harvester blocked them with an energy shield. The blasts bounced off and burned marks in the wall. "Stay behind me," Mark shouted, but Luma didn't listen. She stepped forward and lifted her small hand. The floating toy responded immediately. A pulse of light spread across the room, soft at first, then powerful. The harvester froze for 1 second. Its red eye flickered like a glitch. Mark grabbed the moment. He rushed forward and slammed his shoulder into the creature. They crashed into the wall with a loud crack, but the harvester was too strong. Its metal arm wrapped around Mark's throat, lifting him off the ground with terrifying ease. "Human interference detected," it growled. Luma screamed, "Let him go." Her voice echoed through the chamber, and something changed. The symbols on the walls lit up. Reacting to her fear, her unconscious mother, the navigator, glowed faintly in the healing pod. Her eyes still closed, but her energy responding to her daughter. The toy suddenly projected a voice, gentle, ancient, echoing, "Navigator child. Initiate memory link." Mark felt the harvester's grip tighten. His vision blurred. He was losing air fast, but then the room shook. The machines around the navigator activated on their own. Luma's small hand glowed bright blue, the same color as the navigator's energy. She whispered, "Mom, please help." A soft voice answered, weak, distant, but real, "Luma." The navigator opened her eyes. Just a little, just enough to see her daughter in danger. Her energy surged. flowing through the cables and into the chamber. The harvester turned quickly. Sensing the power spike, it dropped Mark and aimed its arms toward the healing pod. Mark gasped for air but pushed himself back up. He wasn't giving up, not now. The navigator's light formed a shield around Luma. A glowing bubble of warm energy, the harvester attacked. But its hit bounced off the shield like a small stone. Luma stepped closer to the pod, her tiny hand still glowing blue. "Mom, you said I'm the beacon," she whispered. "What does that mean?" The navigator smiled weakly, her voice soft like wind. "You carry the key. The one they cannot take. The core light." Mark stared, stunned. Core light. That was no toy in her hand. It was a piece of a galaxy-level system. Something meant to guide ships, protect civilizations. Something priceless. The harvester roared and lunged forward again. But this time Mark grabbed a thick cable from the machine beside him. He wrapped it around the harvester's neck from behind. Electricity surged through the machine. Sparks flew. The harvester screamed. The navigator raised her hand weakly, directing a beam of soft blue light toward Luma. Luma's toy absorbed it instantly, then released a stronger blast, bright, sharp. Pure energy. The harvester was thrown across the chamber, its metal body smashing into a pillar before falling limp. Silence fell. Only the machine's HUMMED. Mark dropped the cable, breathing hard. "Is it dead?" he asked. Luma shook her head. "No. Harvesters don't die. They reboot." Mark's eyes widened. "Then we have to move, now." The navigator looked at him, her voice weak but clear. "Take Luma to the core, or they will return for her." Mark swallowed hard but nodded. He picked up Luma gently, and for the first time, Luma didn't look afraid. She whispered, "Mark, I trust you." Together, they stepped through another glowing door, deeper into the station, toward the core, where even greater secrets waited. The elevator moved slowly, humming deep within the ancient station. Mark stood with Luma in his arms as they descended toward the core. Her toy floated beside them, still glowing softly. Luma's small voice broke the silence. "She used to sing to me here." Mark looked down. "Your mom?" Luma nodded. "When I was little, the walls would light up with her voice." The elevator stopped. The doors opened into a giant space filled with silver walkways, glowing energy tubes, and deep blue mist. Mark stepped out slowly, feeling the heat in the air. It was alive. The core wasn't just a machine, it felt like a heart. Luma walked ahead, drawn by some invisible pull. The floor lit up where her feet touched. "She's talking to me again," she whispered. Mark scanned the area. No movement, no enemies. But the feeling in his chest told him something was watching. Then, a voice echoed through the chamber, soft and ancient. "Beacon." Confirmed. Luma's toy hovered higher, spinning faster. It projected an image into the air. Luma as a baby, cradled in her mother's arms. They were standing right here, in this very core. Mark stared. "You were born here?" Luma nodded slowly. "She said this core chose me, even before I could walk." The image changed again, this time showing Earthships leaving the galaxy, and behind them, this station being sealed from the inside. Mark stepped closer to the control terminal. The screen lit up with one word: reconnect. He turned to Luma. "Do you want to do this?" She looked at him, calm but serious. "If I don't, the bad ones will use the core to hurt others." Mark didn't fully understand how a child could carry so much, but somehow, she did. She placed her toy into the center slot of the terminal. The entire core pulsed with light blue, gold, then white. The floor trembled. The machines began to move, and ancient music filled the air. Luma closed her eyes. The core responded. All around them, holograms floated, maps of galaxies, broken pathways, emergency signals. Mark realized this was not just a power core, it was a galactic beacon system, designed to connect worlds in peace. and Luma was the only one who could speak to it. Suddenly, alarms blared. A red signal flashed across the terminal. Unauthorized presence detected. Hunter unit incoming. Mark grabbed Luma's hand. We have to run. But the core spoke again. No. Initiating final protocol. From the walls, 2 large pods opened. Inside were ancient machines shaped like suits armor for protectors of the beacon. Mark's eyes widened. These are human-sized. Luma smiled softly. They were made for you. The toy floated back to her hand and whispered, Last Defender, activated. The ground above them shook violently. A roar echoed from the top level. The harvester had returned, and this time, it wasn't alone. Mark stepped into one of the suits as it sealed around him. He felt its power merge with his own. His voice shook. Luma, stay behind me. She nodded and placed her palm on the core again. A wave of energy spread out. The station began to wake up. Ancient defenses rose from the floor. Light shields formed over the doorways. Mark raised his hand, now armored, now glowing. Let them come, he said quietly. Because now he wasn't just a scavenger. He was the last guardian of a beacon child. And the core had remembered. His name, Asterisk. The floor rumbled as the enemy drew near. Mark stood at the edge of the core chamber. Now wearing the ancient protector armor, blue lights pulsed across his suit, echoing with the heartbeat of the station. Behind him, Luma stood still, her small hand resting on the core. She didn't look afraid, she looked ready. From the upper levels, the harvester dropped in first. Its metal claws scraped across the ground as red energy burned from its chest. But this time, it wasn't alone. More followed, 6 shadow-like machines, taller than Mark. Their bodies shaped like twisted wolves made of steel and bone. They growled, scanning the chamber, then locked onto Luma. Target, Beacon Core Child, they hissed in one voice. Mark stepped forward, standing between Luma and the machines. I won't let you touch her, he growled. His armor responded. 2 long energy blades extended from his arms. Glowing hot and bright. The harvester lifted its hand, aiming a cannon at Mark's chest. Stand aside, it ordered coldly. Mark smirked beneath his helmet. Make me. The chamber exploded into light and chaos. Mark charged, his blades slicing through the first shadow beast. It shrieked as sparks and black fluid sprayed through the air. He ducked, rolled, then struck again. His armor moving like it had fought this war before. Behind him, Luma's toy floated high above the core. It projected a dome of golden energy around her. No attack could pass. But her eyes stayed closed, lips moving silently. She was inside the core now, speaking to it from within. Core, show them the stars, she whispered. The core responded, sending beams of light through the chamber ceiling. Up, up, past the clouds of space dust into the galaxy itself. From distant worlds, satellites blinked to life. Old human colonies, long lost, received the signal. And ships, massive Earthships, turned their heads to look. But inside the station, the battle had just begun. One harvester lunged at Mark, catching him by the leg and slamming him into the wall. His armor cracked slightly, but he didn't stop. He pulled himself up and roared, his energy blades igniting again. Come on, he shouted, daring the machines. They came all at once. Mark moved like lightning, dashing, cutting, defending, every time he took a hit. The core sent energy into his suit, healing him. He was no longer just a scavenger. He was a weapon, but it wasn't enough. The harvester was learning faster, smarter. Angrier. It broke through Mark's guard and drove its claws into his side. Sparks exploded as Mark fell to his knees. Coughing blood, the harvester turned toward Luma, its red eye glowing brighter than ever. It raised its blade to strike her shield, but before it could move, Luma opened her eyes. She stepped forward, out of the shield. Her toy floated in front of her like a sun. Stop, she said. Softly but clearly, the harvester paused. Luma lifted both hands. And then the core responded not with weapons, but light. Pure, white, endless light dotted exploded from Luma's body in every direction. The chamber turned white. The machine screamed at the harvester's red eyes shattered. Its metal body shook, then fell like dead weight to the floor. The shadow beasts turned to ash mid-air. When the light faded, the chamber was quiet. Only the sound of the core's soft hum remained. Mark lay on the floor. Barely awake, Luma ran to him and held his hand. "You stayed with me," she whispered. He smiled weakly. "Told you I would." The core pulsed again softly this time. Like it was breathing above them, a signal spread through space. Calling someone. The galaxy was listening. Mark lay on the cold floor of the core chamber. His armor was cracked, his breathing slow. But his eyes were open, watching Luma as she stood in the glowing light. She looked calm, glowing like a star in a child's shape. The core's energy wrapped around her like a soft wind. Luma held his hand. "You didn't leave me," she whispered. Mark smiled weakly. "Wasn't planning to." Above them, the entire station trembled, but this time, it wasn't fear. It was power returning. The machines were gone. The harvester destroyed, but now, the galaxy was listening. The signal Luma sent had reached deep into space. Across forgotten colonies, through broken relay towers, into human-controlled sectors that hadn't heard from this station in over 50 years, and far, far away on a large battleship orbiting Earth. A red light blinked. A voice said, "Beacon signal detected location. Grid 27X. Confirmed core child present." Within minutes, dozens of ships changed course. Back at the station, Mark struggled to sit up. "Help's coming," he said. Coughing, Luma nodded. "I know. I can feel them." The core pulsed gently behind her. Not just a machine, but a memory of her mother's voice, her warmth, her protection. Then something happened. The pod containing Luma's mother opened fully. Her body, still weak, floated gently toward the center of the room. Luma rushed to her, catching her gently in her arms. The navigator opened her eyes, tears already there. "Brought me back," she whispered. Luma nodded, crying now. "I had help," she said, and looked at Mark. The navigator smiled at him. "Thank you, human. You saved my daughter." "And the beacon." Mark shook his head. "She saved me." Suddenly, a low hum echoed through the chamber. The walls turned transparent, and through them, stars appeared. One by one, bright lights entered orbit. Ships. Dozens. Human ships. Luma gasped. Mark stood, leaning against the wall, barely able to believe what he saw. Fighter escorts, medical cruisers, even old Earth flagships that had vanished decades ago. The core chamber lit up again. A communication screen opened. A woman in a navy blue Earth Fleet uniform appeared. Short white hair, hard eyes, kind voice. "This is Admiral Reyes of Earth Command. We received your signal," she said. "Is the beacon child safe?" Mark stepped aside and let Luma walk forward. She stood tall, toy in one hand, her other holding her mother's. "I'm here," she said quietly, "and I forgive you for forgetting us." There was silence for a long moment. Then Admiral Reyes lowered her head. "We didn't mean to abandon you," she said. "We thought everyone here was lost." Luma nodded slowly, "But we waited." "I waited." Her voice trembled. "But you came back." The Admiral's voice cracked. "Yes, and we're not leaving again." Mark walked up behind Luma. He looked into the camera and said, "This girl, she's not just a signal. She's a survivor. She's the light." Behind them, the navigator reached out. "She's the last of my line. But not the last beacon. If Earth protects her, the galaxy can heal." The Admiral gave a firm nod. "Prepare for transport. We're bringing you all home." Luma turned to Mark. Will you come with us? Mark was quiet for a second. Then he smiled. If you want me to. She grabbed his hand. I do. And together, a human scavenger, a dying navigator, and the beacon child, they stepped into the light of the transport beam, leaving behind the shadows, and flying toward a future full of stars, where a girl's whisper had called back the forgotten, and one human's kindness had changed the course of galaxies.